The Jake Asman Show will begin shortly. Thanks to all these great Patreon members who help support the show. Get your super chats ready. Jake will be here in just a moment. If you love the New York Jets, this is the place to be. And now, the Jake Asman Show.
ESPN's Bill Barnwell ripped the New York Jets in his skill position rankings for the 2025 season. Were his criticisms of New York fair? We'll talk about that and much more, all coming up here on a Sunday edition of the Jake Asman Show. Let's go.
Man, our Jets are primed to win another offseason, baby. We bleed Jets green each and every day. Will the playoff drought finally end? Kings of the offseason, baby. This is what we do. At least we have Garrett Wilson. We have Breece Hall. Please subscribe and hit the like button below. Super chats, baby. Cut the line. We have Sauce Gardner. We have Quinn Williams. Prepare to be underdogs. Now it's time to talk all things New York Jets. It's the Jake Asman Show.
What is going on, New York Jet fans? Hello, everyone, and welcome back into another edition of the Jake Asman Show right here on this Sunday afternoon, baby. July 13th, 2025. Make sure you smash that like button and hit subscribe on your way into the building. It's completely free, and it helps this channel grow significantly. Let's get Jake to 42,000 subscribers. Does incredible work. Keep making this show the most subscribed show on YouTube. Appreciate all your support. I am Connor Long in for Jake right here on this Sunday afternoon. Appreciate all of you guys being with us. Hope you had a great Saturday and hope you have a great second half of your weekend right here on this Sunday afternoon. Great weather here in Long Island, so hope the weather's great for you guys. Hope everyone's having a incredible day, and with an incredible day, you got an incredible deal right here on the Jake Asman Show. Today on the show, all gifted memberships are boosted to +2 for the next weekly raffle, which contains a Bill Parcells signed helmet, an Aaron Glenn signed helmet, a Rex Ryan signed photo, and a Herm Edwards signed helmet. So get all your gifted memberships in. They're boosted +2 right here on the show. So make sure you load all those up in the chat. You got any questions for me, you could throw those in the chat. You guys can call into the show with the pinned comment, the Gustbuster hotline, right at the top of your chat screen. So where I want to start is what I mentioned in the open there. ESPN's Bill Barnwell, which he does every single year, he ranks each team's skill position. So that would be running back, wide receiver, and tight end. This year, he placed the Jets at number 27 on that list after New York was placed at 12th entering last season. So let's take a look at, Barnwell's rankings and whether they were fair or not. So you see right here, ranked 27th on the list. The Jets were ranked 24 last year and 22 the season prior. I think in the article, he made some very, very fair points regarding New York. It would be too big to pull up here on the screen. But what Barnwell pretty much said in a nutshell is Garrett Wilson is taking on the role that, Terry McLaurin's kind of played with the Washington Commanders. But after Garrett Wilson, the Jets really don't have anyone else on this roster who's been established. Barnwell mentioned Breece Hall in the article and someone who's obviously produced for New York in the past, but is coming off a pretty rough 2024 campaign. I'll actually pull up the article for you guys right here on the screen. You see it here. The first paragraph, like I mentioned, talks about Garrett Wilson and how he's kind of been a plug and play option for New York. He's been able to do, everything that the Jets have frankly asked out of him. And then if you look at the paragraph down below, he addresses the Jets running back room, talks about Breece Hall being able to stay healthy, playing behind a better offensive line, but struggling compared to his 2023 season. And then he talks about the poor depth in the Jets wide receiver room. So what I have to say regarding, this article here from Bill Barnwell slotting the Jets at number 27th overall for the, most talented skill position teams in the league, I do think it's fair, because does this team have a lot of potential? Yes, I'm the first one to tell you that. I have this team winning 8 games this year, which is a lot higher than most in this fan base. I do have the Jets going 8-9 this year, and I think Justin Fields has a ton of upside. I think Breece Hall can bounce back and have a great season. I think we know what Garrett Wilson is. He's a guy who can get you 1,000 yards a year, no matter what quarterback that he's playing with. But, all that hype and all that, all that hype and all that upside is just potential until it comes into fruition. So Barnwell, who's pretty much ranking these teams based on what they've shown, it's understandable that the Jets are at 27th on this list. If New York, impresses most pundits and they do win 8 or 9 games and Justin Fields is here for another season and Breece Hall is able to bounce back and get you 1,000 yards on the ground and contribute another 500 in the passing attack, could New York be in the top 10 on this list? Absolutely. They certainly have the talent to do so. Just based on what this team has shown, I completely understand where Barnwell is coming from, ranking the Jets at 27th on this list. Because, again, like I said, I'm the first one to tell you guys that this team has a ton of upside. This team this team has the potential to make the playoffs this year. I have them going to 8 and 9. Some people have them going 9 and 8. Some people have them competing for a playoff spot. But I understand where Barnwell's coming from here, just based on the fact that not too many Jets, with the exception of Garrett Wilson, which he did recognize, have proven a ton to the point where you could rely on them to be a top 10 overall offensive unit, or be a top 10 wide receiver room, be a top 10 running back room. So I completely understand where Barnwell is coming from here. He mentioned Braylon Allen in the running back paragraph, as you can see right there. But someone he didn't mention, who I think is an under-the-radar guy I've been talking about for a long time now, who can make a big impact for New York, is Isaiah Davis. Like Braylon Allen, he was also drafted in last year's draft. Braylon and Isaiah have a little similar of a build. He's not as big as Braylon, but he's still, he still has a 220-pound frame. We saw minimal reps from Davis last year, but some of the things that I think really caught my eye watching every single snap last year, he had excellent short area quickness. He has a lot of flexibility for his size. Like, he can do multiple things. He can shift through traffic. And another thing I liked is he was really, really patient last year. He'd kind of let the play unfold and then hit the hole hard. He gets north-south very, very quickly, runs with a lot of physicality, which I think could be a great compliment for Justin Fields on the read option. I think you got to get a guy who can push the ball, east-west for Fields to go north-south on the read option, and vice versa. I think Braylon Allen's the guy who gets you who could get you east-west, and I think Isaiah Davis is the guy you want to hit the hole hard and go north-south. So I think Isaiah Davis is a name to look out for, who could fit into this team very, very nicely. And the other name at the wide receiver position, someone who a lot of people haven't been talking about, is Tyler Johnson. I wrote an article about him for Jets X Factor not too long ago. He's a guy who I think could be an under-the-radar name to make a pretty significant impact for New York this year. This is a guy who's been very, very efficient over his 5 NFL seasons. He's flashed the skill set of a very, very high-caliber receiver. The problem is, he hasn't gotten the maximum amount of reps to really showcase his ability and who he is overall as a receiver. He checks several boxes as to what the Jets look for. I mean, do I think Tyler Johnson is going to be the wide receiver 2 on this team? No, I do not think he's going to be the Jets wide receiver 2 this year. Can he make an impact as a 3 or a 4? Absolutely. I mean, this is a guy who's been very efficient in contested catch situations, doesn't have many career drops. I think his drop rate's at around 5% or a little under than that, and has been very, very efficient in yak opportunities. He's collected a lot of big plays last year. So Tyler Johnson, a very, very interesting name. I would say he's the guy to keep an eye out for this year, to kind of be an under-the-radar contributor at the wide receiver position. And then obviously I listed Isaiah Davis is the guy I'd look for at the running back position this year. Those are Bill Barnwell's rankings, slotting the Jets at number 27 overall when it comes to the most talented skill positions in the league. That would be running back, wide receiver, and tight end. Someone he mentioned down towards the end is rookie Jets tight end, who the team selected with the 42nd overall pick in this year's draft, that being LSU's Mason Taylor. And what I want to kind of transition into next is something that unfolded yesterday in the West that I want to get into, the AFC West, that Trey Harris, rookie wide receiver for the Los Angeles Chargers, who was also a second-round pick, is now holding out because he remains unsigned, hasn't been signed to a rookie contract, and he's holding out into training camp. Now, this is something that could affect the Jets that I think no one's been talking about. Something that's flown very under the radar as of recently is Mason Taylor remains unsigned, and that's the case for a ton of second-round picks in this year's draft. He remains one of 30 second-round picks still without a contract as training camp approaches here. And the main reason behind the fact that there are still, 30 second-round picks holding out, and only 2 have contracts, is the guaranteed money. The Texans and the Browns handed out fully guaranteed deals to the 33 and 34th overall picks and this year's NFL draft. So all the second round picks, all the other second round picks seem to go look and say, wait, these guys are getting fully guaranteed contracts. I want a fully guaranteed deal or something close to a fully guaranteed deal. So that's the whole process, the whole thought process behind here for these second round picks, seemingly as to why a lot of these guys haven't inked their rookie deal yet. Now, I say this could affect the Jets because Harris is now kind of setting this precedent that holding out is okay. We saw it with the first round picks. Shamar Stewart from the Cincinnati Bengals, that still remains an unmitigated disaster as they have reached no agreement whatsoever. But now Harris is the first second round pick to officially confirm that he's holding out for a rookie deal as training camp approaches. For now, everything looks to be okay for the Jets. Mason Taylor has participated in every single offseason activity, hasn't indicated any plans to hold out. But with the clock ticking and, one holdout already emerging, training camp on the horizon, it's certainly a situation to monitor here because if you were a second round pick, you go into training camp, you suffer a season-ending injury, which we've seen happen in training camp before. You're in a really, really dicey situation. So if I had to make a prediction, I think Mason Taylor comes to training camp and the Jets, bang something out with Taylor sooner rather than later. But it's just a situation to monitor and something I don't think enough people have been talking about. The fact that, only there's 30 second-round picks who haven't been signed. Only 2 second-round picks from this year's NFL draft have been signed. And, Taylor, if he really wanted to, he could hold out. So that's just something I wanted to point out for all you Jet fans out there, because I don't think it's a situation that's received enough coverage. Sticking with contracts, sticking with contract negotiations. We've heard a lot about Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner over the past few weeks, when they're going to get an extension done. Based on the reports we've seen, it seems that Sauce Gardner is kind of closer to the Jets in those contractual talks than Garrett Wilson is. I do think they bang out a contract with Sauce ahead of the season, and I think they wait till next offseason to sign Garrett. But, another contract situation that I don't think a lot of people are talking about, maybe because it doesn't have any implications on this offseason, but next offseason, the Jets are going to have to make a pretty significant decision across the offensive line. So this is a situation, again, that I don't think people have monitored very closely. The offensive line, we all know the Jets have put, they've allocated a lot of resources to building a strong offensive line. Obviously, you use the 7th overall pick, in this year's NFL draft to make Armand Membu, the starting right tackle on this team. Left tackle, and then Olu Fashanu you have on that right side. And then you have a bunch of different pieces here on this offensive line. You have Joe Tippmann as your starting center. You have John Simpson and Elijah Vera Tucker as your other guards. So this is very, very interesting for New York. They've clearly allocated a ton of resources towards building this offensive line. I think it's certainly going to be a top 10 unit this year, but you look forward to next offseason. Elijah Vera Tucker currently is entering a contract year. Same goes for John Simpson, who came in as a free agent last year and, outperformed all numbers, everything he was expected to do. John Simpson had a great year for the Jets. The Jets are going to have to face a very, very tough decision with what guards they want to pay. Vera Tucker's playing out his 5th-year option this year, and then Simpson obviously in the final season of the deal that he agreed to last offseason. It is very, very, very rare to see NFL teams invest a ton of money at both guard positions. Only 4 teams in the NFL are currently paying multiple guards $10 million or more in AAV. So that's certainly a situation to monitor. I think Simpson still has a great year, and I think Elijah Vera Tucker has a great year if healthy. If I had to make, a prediction right now from a general manager standpoint, I would prioritize locking up Elijah Vera Tucker. The Jets have sent the message that if you were drafted by this organization and you outplay your expectation, you're going to get rewarded. You're going to get paid. I think Elijah Vera Tucker, when he's been on the field since he was selected, has been a very, very solid offensive lineman. He's very, very versatile. He's played 4 out of the 5 positions at the NFL level. Heck, if he was asked to play center, I don't think it would be all that disgusting. So Elijah Vera Tucker, a young piece who's very, very versatile. I think the Jets should really, really prioritize retaining him, whether they get something done ahead of this season or whether they wait till next offseason to get it done. I think prioritizing Elijah Vera Tucker is going to be very, very important for New York, whether it's ahead of this season or they wait until next offseason. Appreciate you all tuning in right here on the Jake Asman Show. Connor Long in for Jake. Appreciate all of your support. As always, smash that like button and hit subscribe. Make sure you get in your memberships right here on the show because all gifted memberships are boosted +2 for today's show. The prizes you can earn are a Bill Parcells signed helmet, an Aaron Glenn signed helmet, a Rex Ryan signed photo, a Herm Edwards signed helmet. So make sure you load up those gifted memberships, those super chats, because they're boosted +2 for the weekly raffle right here on the show. A quick programming note for this very show. Tomorrow morning, it's a big show on this channel, so make sure you stay tuned. Jake will be at the Marty Lyons Celebrity Golf Classic, where he is doing the Monday morning show, and he has some great guests stopping by. Marty Lyons, Joe Klecko, and Vinny Testaverde, all confirmed for tomorrow morning's show, so make sure you stay tuned for that. Jake will be live from the Marty Lyons Celebrity Golf Classic at the Old Westbury Golf and Country Club, so certainly stay tuned for that. Jake bringing in some big names on the show tomorrow. Definitely tune in for that. You guys want to call into the show, you could do so with the pinned comment at the top of the chat for all your questions, comments, thoughts. We will get to those. Let's see. David Aaron comes in, says, who's not here from last preseason to this season? Just the tight end. The overall direction that the Jets are going in here, David, I think is the most significant thing that's kind of changed. I think last year, a lot of people instilled more faith in the Jets' overall offense. They expected a guy like Allen Lazard to bounce back significantly with Aaron Rodgers, which he did. They expected Breece Hall to have, a similar 2024 season as he did in 2023. Obviously, that wasn't the case. So I think the overall direction that the Jets are going in is the biggest shift that we've seen from last preseason to this preseason. Obviously, you have to look at the quarterback position too. Justin Fields and Aaron Rodgers, two very, very, very different quarterbacks. So I think that's the most significant difference as we look back to last year. Jake comes in with a $1.99 super chat. Jake, thank you so much. He says, thanks for filling in today, Connor. Great job. Jake, you're the best. Appreciate all your kind words and appreciate all of your support right here on the show. Shout out to Jake. Absolutely killing it. I will have to say it's the dead period in the NFL right now. And I've taken some time off of my channel, NY Flight Jets Talk, by the way, the channel where I do all my Jets work. So make sure to shoot me a sub there on YouTube. Appreciate you guys. As always, that's where I do all my Jets work. And I was doing daily content for 6 months from January all the way through June. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to take some time to recharge for the dead period. Haven't done a show in 2 weeks on that channel. And we'll be back next Monday, though. So shout out to Jake. Jake's the GOAT because, there's a reason that he has the most subscribed Jets channel on YouTube. This guy's doing multiple shows a day, no matter what time of year it is. So props to Jake. Jake's the GOAT. Jake's an awesome guy. So Jake, again, appreciate this opportunity. And thank you for all the kind words and support. As always, David comes back in and says, Connor, setting the foundations for some compensation picks in 2027. So basically, the way the compensatory pick formula works in the NFL is the compensatory picks are based on who you sign before the draft. So if the Jets sign, for example, Keenan Allen today, if the Jets decided to sign Keenan Allen today, that wouldn't affect their compensatory picks for next year because the formula, all the compensatory picks are already lined up by the draft. After the draft, you could sign whatever free agent you want, and it wouldn't affect the compensatory pick formula. So I don't think the Jets are trying to build up compensatory picks yet. That seemed to be the strategy to some extent this offseason, but I've really seen no indication thus far that that's their motto. That's what they want to do moving forward. I think it kind of played into the fact that it was a weaker overall free agency class this year, and they were like, hey, we'll add a few draft picks. I think that was the thought process. I don't think it's something that they want to do. I don't think it's something that's set in stone, the direction that Aaron Glenn and Darren Mushi are going in long term. That's my thought process there. Let's see. Alan comes in. Alan, appreciate you tuning in again. Keep the questions coming in the chat. Call into the show. Load up those calls on the Gusbuster hotline. See you all backstage. We're going to get to those calls shortly. Alan says Taylor is not a run-stuffing defensive tackle. Leonard Taylor III, certainly projects, just based on his size, him being slightly under 300 pounds, he projects as more of a 3-tech guy. He's certainly not a 1-tech. I mean, the guy's under 300 pounds. I think he could provide you some run-stuffing value. I wouldn't dub Leonard Taylor III as just a pure run stuffer. I think he was very, very efficient in his pass rush reps last year. I think his technique was great from a run defense standpoint, but I think he needs to get those efficiency numbers up for run defense. And I think this is another guy who is very, very young. They signed him as an undrafted free agent last year. Leonard Taylor III played snaps last year. He didn't play a significant role on the team, but this is a young piece with Javon Kinlaw walking, who, yes, he wasn't great for New York last year, but he played a ton of reps. I think Leonard Taylor III is going to inherit a ton of snaps in this team's defensive line rotation this year. So Leonard Taylor III is certainly a name I'd look out for. I expect him to contribute more as a pass rusher. Like, for example, when Quinnen needs to take a break and Derek Nandi comes in, I think Taylor and Nandi would be a perfect combination, a perfect tandem on the inside. You have the big run stuffer who's the space eater for you, that being Derek Nandi, and then you have the smaller, a little more agile 3-tech in Leonard Taylor III. So that's the way I'm kind of looking at these defensive alignments this offseason. So certainly keep an eye out for Leonard Taylor III, though. I expect him to play a rotational role on this team. And Alan says it there. He had 20-25 snaps, a guy playing behind Quinnen Williams. I think he brings the similar skill set to Quinnen Williams. So I could certainly see that happening. And again, if you can get Leonard Taylor III playing, a 20-25 snaps per game with a solid pass rush win rate 2 years into his NFL career, that's certainly something to build on. Leonard Taylor III, people forget this. Summer scouting the year before he was drafted, he was supposed to be a first-round pick. And then even entering the draft, he was supposed to be a third, fourth-round guy. All things broke loose right before the draft occurred. And Leonard Taylor went undrafted. The Jets picked him up, had a great preseason, cracked the roster alongside 2 other UDFA defensive linemen in Eric Watts and Braden McGregor. And he played some snaps, was pretty efficient in those snaps, but just didn't get the maximum opportunities that you would have hoped out of him. So that's what those are my thoughts right there on Leonard Taylor III. Again, keep all the questions coming in the chat. You guys can load up your calls on the Gust Buster hotline, and we will go to the phone lines right now. Is he inside? Is he outside? We'll see right after this. He's outside. There we go. Kyle, what's going on?
Jake, I don't know what you're doing, but you look terrific.
Thank you. I appreciate that, man.
It's good to see you, Connor.
Good to see you as well.
So, I think with Barnwell, is it the chicken or the egg, right? Like we've kind of seen, Breece. What did he get? 1,600 scrimmage yards a couple of years ago?
1,585 it was, 994 on the ground, and then like 500 and change receiving wise.
And I think Garrett's been consistent, and I think we all have a modicum of faith in the selection of Mason Taylor. Some of the other position groups or position players, I'm not too thrilled about. I mean, I don't think anyone really is. The running back room is solid for sure, but like it might have a lot to do with the scheme, right? And I don't know that Barnwell kind of takes that stuff into account. And he kind of feels like he does a lot of these rankings and such in a vacuum. I get frustrated with a lot of his stuff, to be quite frank with you.
I get it. Yeah.
So I'm gonna set that aside and hope we can get the scheme up to where it needs to be. As far as Taylor goes, Leonard Taylor, do we have any idea why he dropped? When you see something like that, and a guy who was ultimately a first, a third, a fourth round pick, you feel like it's reputational, right? Like something behind the scenes that that teams caught that caused him to drop out of the 7 rounds. He
got injured. One of the things, he got injured his final year, but still after that he was supposed to be a third, fourth round pick, and then it was just all hell broke loose pretty much seemingly on draft night, and then he goes undrafted. I mean, props to the Jets though for being early. I mean, Jets are a team for the longest time that when an opportunity comes like that, they seem to pass on it. But shout out to the Jets, Joe Douglas at the time, for pouncing on that move and getting in someone who I think is a very, very talented interior option from a technical standpoint.
Right. And, I had heard there were some issues with his technique, like the physicality there was no problem with. Like maybe he was just
there were motor concerns.
Motor concerns.
Yep.
But just the actual physical talent is certainly there, and I think we all see it. Um, you know, from where we were sitting, change is good. Any change is good.
Mhm.
Whether it's Jay, what's his name, is going to be part of the rotation now
Tufele. Yeah.
Tefele. Like the other guys were not getting it done. Kinlaw, Solomon Thomas. We weren't advancing the program with them. So if we're going to go on a shoestring budget, why not bring in guys with that might have a little bit left to play in the rotation, that might have a high upside. Um, and the other thing I think is that they're probably going to be pretty active post camp cuts
Yeah.
and bringing in guys like when you have the greatest defensive tackle class in history, they're going to be some expensive guys that can play that are going to shake out, I think. So that's something to kind of look for. Um, that's basically all I had for today. But I wanted to let you know you're doing a terrific job.
Appreciate it.
Stepping in there on a moment's notice.
Thank you.
Well, let's hope that Jake comes back energized after his weekend in the hot tub.
There we go.
I'll talk to you
Appreciate
later.
it. Ladies and gentlemen, the great Kyle Clifton checking in with us here on the show. Shout out to Kyle. Great call as always, getting us started right here on this Sunday afternoon on the Jake Asman Show. Shout out to Kyle. Appreciate the kind words. Appreciate all the support, my friend. Our guy, Chef Kevin, Fastest Food Reviews, comes in with a $5 super chat. Shout out to you, Chef. Appreciate the $5. Keep up the great work. Connor, go Jets. Go Jets is right. Appreciate the kind words, Chef. Thank you so much. You to myself there by accident. Thank you so much for all the kind words right here on the show. Shout out to you, Chef Kevin. Again, keep on loading all your questions up in the chat. Call into the show with the pinned comment. Let's keep it going with your calls. David T joins us next right here on the show.
I got my energy. I hope you like my Jets take. You know they call me David T. It's not easy for me to see, but if you bring me full stream, you might like what I had to say. I'll need to get real damn close, cause my vision is dog shit. Good
David.
morning. Hi, Connor. How are you?
I'm living the dream. How about yourself?
I'm doing fine. You do a heck of a job filling in for Jake, and I just want to compliment you. I think whatever you choose to do in the future, you're going to do well at. But you remind me of Jake a lot because it seems like your brain works fast, and you get that information out there, and you have to really focus and pay attention. You know what I mean? But the only comment I'd like to make is, and I need your opinion on it. You had talked about second round holdouts for guaranteed money.
Mm-hmm.
My feeling is, I mean, if you're a second round pick, you're a second round pick for a reason, and it's almost like your employer paying your healthcare insurance, where you can go into training camp and you have peace of mind where you not worrying about getting hurt. You can give 150% and everything. That's just my feeling. I think it's a good thing, actually.
Yeah, I think the reason we're seeing these holdouts, like I mentioned, it was a precedent that was set by the teams that had the first two picks of the second round, sending the message that they were giving their rookies fully guaranteed deals. And like I mentioned, all the other second round picks are looking around saying, "What? Mason Taylor was the 10th overall pick in the 9th overall pick, excuse me, in the second round." He's like, "I was a top 10 pick in the second round. I want a fully guaranteed contract." And I think the biggest thing is going into training camp with the contract, like you said there, so you don't have to worry about getting hurt. That's not a concern on your mind. If Mason Taylor holds out, from a fan perspective, obviously I'd be very, very disappointed because you just used a second round pick on this guy. He's going to play a significant role in your passing attack this year. But from like an analyst and front office perspective, I'd understand why he held out. He wants to go in training camp with some job security. I mean, it's over the past few years, not even the past few years, just really this year overall, we're seeing a bunch of these holdouts. Now, Trey Harris, a second-round pick, officially holding out. And the biggest one across the whole league is Shamar Stewart, who was the 17th overall pick in this year's draft, a pass rusher who was drafted by Cincinnati, hasn't gotten his contract yet and remains holding out. I think it's great to see that Taylor's taken the initiative and has been to every offseason activity. I don't think he will hold out, but my whole point in case of mentioning that story was to kind of get it out there like, hey, Mason Taylor could hold out, and don't make it be a huge surprise if he does.
Right. And it's like an insurance policy that hopefully you don't have to use, And thank you for your opinion. Keep up the great work, buddy.
David, you are the best.
I got my eye on you, Jake. I hope you like my Jets take. They call me David T. It's not easy for me to see, but if you bring me full stream, you might like what I had to say. I'll need to get real damn close, cause my vision is dog shit.
Shout out to David T. What a guy. What a legend. David, thank you for joining us here on the show. Great call as always. Appreciate David. Shout out to David for joining us right here on this Sunday afternoon on the Jake Asman Show. Let's go over some of your comments. Adam is too cool, says AVT and Breece could be traded if the season isn't looking promising. Certainly, and I think if you get to the deadline and, this team isn't doing too well, they're 3-4 games under 500, Breece is certainly a name to look at as a trade piece because unlike Garrett, Jermaine, or Sauce, all guys who the Jets picked up their fifth-year options on, Breece is entering the final year of his contract. The only thing the Jets could really do to retain him without signing him to a new deal is putting that franchise tag on him at the end of the year. But if the Jets are 3-4 games under 500, what is the point in retaining Breece and rolling the dice? AVT, in another sense, I think AVT is a name to keep your eye on. Like, if he's playing really, really well the first few weeks of the year, he could be a guy they look to extend in season. The Jets have sent the message again, guys who are drafted by this organization outplay all expectations and, make a good impression on this new regime now. I think those guys are going to get contracts. So I do anticipate Elijah Vera Tucker getting a new deal. So that's what I'll say. If I had to make a prediction, I think Breece Hall is not on this team next year on July 13th. But I think Breece Hall is certainly on the team to open the year. The Jets have shown no indication that they want to trade him. AVT, I think, is here long term. So those are my thoughts. That's my thought process regarding those two guys. Adam follows that up by saying the concerns about Breece are well known, but he'll have trade value if he's league average because running backs get injured across the league. But I hope he has a great year and we extend him and he's Gibbs-like. This is the whole thing with Breece Hall. Right now, his trade value is significantly low. I think if the Jets tried trading Breece Hall today, you'd be looking at a 6th-round pick, maybe a 6th and a 7th, 2 7ths, something like that. It's certainly all that pretty. So I think the Jets are making the right decision by holding on to Breece Hall, given the available packages. However, if he continues to, show sluggish form throughout the season, his vision hasn't improved one bit. I understand running backs get hurt across the league, but I still think you're looking at a 4th or 5th round pick. I don't think you're getting a 2nd-round pick in exchange for Breece Hall, no matter how he performs to open the season. So even if Breece Hall outplays all expectations and the Jets just aren't playing well and they want to move on from him, I think you're looking at a 3rd or a 4th round pick at best, which again isn't a monster package. So that's the way I look at this Breece Hall situation. Velat, Coward, Nandi, Tufele will hold it down versus the run. It's more important to have a lead in the 4th quarter than what nose tackle lines up next to Quinn. And this is what I have to say. So Coward isn't really a run stuffer. Byron Coward kind of has a similar build to like Leonard Taylor III. I believe he's 6'3", 296. I can confirm that for you right here. He is 6'3", 300. So he's just 300 pounds. He's more of a 3-tech guy. He's been known for a pass rusher and a special teams guy throughout his career. On the other hand, yes, Nandi could stop the run. He's a big space eater who's, in that 315, 320 pound range. He's a 1-tech. That I can understand. And then Tufele, this is a misconception. Those who are saying Jay Tufele can stop the run. Jay Tufele has struggled mightily throughout his career to stop the run. He's very similar to kind of what we were talking about Lecky Fotu at this time last year. I call him the run stuffer who can't run stuff. Tufele isn't that much of a run stuffer. Coward's more of a 3-tech pass rusher. I expect Nandi to be the main run stuffer this year, obviously playing across from Quinn Williams. If I had to make a prediction for what this defensive line looks like, I think it's Nandi and Quinnen on the inside to open the year, and then you have Jermaine and McDonald off the edge. I think that's the optimized pairing that you can go for to open the season. Eli says we need a guy to take away some double teams from Quinn Williams. We don't have that guy. I think you do have the guy, and I think that's Derek Nandi. He's just going to take up so much space on that line, being, whatever, how Derek Nandi's a very, very, very big body. I mean, He's known to be a one tech. He's known to stuff the run throughout his career. 6'1", 317 pounds. You need someone to deter him away. I think that's going to take more attention off Quinnen, and I think that's why him and Quinnen on the inside of the line is the optimized pairing that you can go for to open the year. So certainly keep an eye out for Derek Nani to be the kind of under the radar run stuffer, if you will. Jay comes in and says, Connor, your thoughts on those who panic about Fields' processing speed? Look, coming out of college, that was certainly a major concern for Fields. You fast forward, to right ahead of the 2021 NFL draft. The biggest concern was his eye discipline, his ability to read a defense. He's been in the league for multiple years now. He didn't throw many interceptions last year. It didn't prove to be a significant issue. I'm not focusing on that because I think Tanner Engstrand is able to build a scheme tailored to his strengths with quick dump-offs, quick RPOs. I don't think Fields is really going to need to be a big play guy. I think if Fields can help facilitate the offense with all the talent that you have on this roster, the Jets would be a 7-8 win team. So I'm not digging too much into it because I don't think his eye discipline, his eye speed, him being able to read a defense is going to play a big role into this Jets team's success because I think a lot of the game plan is going to be quick passes and RPOs, plays tailored towards Field. But great question there, Jay. Appreciate you tuning in right here on the show. David comes in and says, Connor, have you or any of the Asmaniacs seen last year's quarterback Fields throw the ball short to dump off passes while he was in Pitt? Does Fields have the touch, or is it a QB Wilson fastball? So Justin Fields started off throwing a lot of quick slants in Chicago, a lot of those 5-10-yard slants that we saw with Zach Wilson, kind of a similar game plan there. What I think the Jets will do with Fields, and I think Fields has that touch. I think he's able to, deliver nice, smooth 5-yard passes downfield, nice, smooth, RPOs just behind the line. He definitely implemented more of the quick passes during his time in Pittsburgh. The thing with Chicago, the thing why I ultimately think Fields failed is they ignored the offensive line. That was the number one. You can't perform behind a poor offensive line. That's the bottom line, really, in today's NFL. You can't perform. You can't expect a quarterback to perform behind a poor offensive line. That's number one. Number two, they wanted them to play hero ball. They wanted them to be, the Patrick Mahomes who could do it all, who could be your triple threat, who could push the ball downfield, who can take off and get you 20 yards whenever you need it. You can take off and get you 20 yards whenever you need it. You can't expect them to push the ball 20 yards downfield on, 5 out of his 20 passing attempts per game. I think Fields is going to have to rely less on the deep ball. I think he's going to be able to hone in on quick passes and really, really thrive overall as a quarterback in New York. But long answer to your question, yes, I think he has touch on his ball, and I think his throwing motion has really progressed. His exit velocity, everything really since he entered the league in 2021. So that's what I have to say about Fields. Eddie comes in and says, what's the latest on our special teams punter / place kicker? So for the punter, there have been no new indications. I haven't heard anything regarding the punting position. Obviously, Kai Kroger alongside Austin McNamara. Kroger, the undrafted free agent out of South Carolina. McNamara, the undrafted free agent out of Texas A&M. Those are the two guys expected to compete for the punting job. As for the place kicking position, the Jets did release Anders Carlson. So what I think is going to happen for the place kicker, I think it's going to be a battle between Caden Davis, undrafted free agent the Jets signed this year from Ole Miss, and the thicker kicker, baby, Harrison Mevis, kicked in the UFL last year. So I certainly expect those. I certainly expect one of those two to get the job. I think Harrison Mevis gets the job. More automatic from long range, has experience kicking at the NFL level. As for punter, I think they're going to go with Kroger. Kroger has a nice touch on his punts. He had a few nice onside kicks. He could be a kickoff specialist for you as well. He does multiple things. I think it's going to be Kroger, Mevis, and obviously Thomas Hennessy as your long snapper. That's the special teams unit for my prediction. If I had to make a take right now. AD83, baby, comes in with a $10 super chat. AD83, shout out to you. I appreciate all the kind words and all of your support right here on the show.
Get your ass off my super chats. Some of these are gifted memberships too.
Hey.
The hell with it.
AD83, baby, comes in with a $10 super chat. Shout out to you, my friend. Appreciate your support for Connor's Juicebox Fund. Appreciate you, young man. Keep doing your thing. AD83, baby. Shout out to you for the $10 super chat. Appreciate all of your support. As always, you guys keep coming in with the super chats, but don't forget for the membership raffle, this week's membership raffle right here on the show. All gifted memberships are boosted +2 right here on today's show. So make sure you get those in. Prizes that are being raffled off: a Bill Parcells signed helmet, an Aaron Glenn signed helmet, a Rex Ryan signed photo, Herm Edwards signed helmet. So We haven't had any gifted memberships yet. Load those up in the chat. Let's get some gifted memberships in right here on this beautiful Sunday afternoon. Appreciate all of your support. As always, again, call into the show with the pinned comment. Load up calls on the Gusbuster hotline. We'll go back over to the phone line shortly and keep the questions flowing in the chat. Appreciate all of you tuning in right here on the program. Guy David T, fellow Lions fan, comes in. What's up, David? Says Connor, regarding the second round pick situation, I think what transpires with the Lions center/guard Tate Ratledge when rookies are scheduled to report on July 16th could easily be a key with Mason Taylor's situation. So with the Jets, rookies report on July 19th. So the Jets have a bit of a delay. Rookies report in about 6 days from now. So next Saturday is when rookies report for the Jets, and then veterans will come in on July 22nd. So I think what the Jets do with Taylor's, I think they bang out a contract during training camp. I don't think they get something done before training camp, and I think Taylor's comfortable going into camp without a contract set in stone, and they bang something out in one of the earlier stages of camp. So that's what I look out for. Again, I do not think Mason Taylor is going to hold out. All I was saying, my whole point in case by mentioning that is certainly a situation to monitor, because not really any second-round picks have gotten their contracts. So just something that I would look out for here. Mason Taylor still remaining onside. That's what I would say. That was the point in case by mentioning Mason Taylor and the fact that only 2 second-round picks from this year's NFL draft have been signed. I asked for it. Gangrene 365 delivers. He wants 10 raffle tickets, and he drops in with 5 gifted memberships. Let's go.
Show me the money. Show me the money! Money.
Yeah.
Shout out to Gangrene 365. 5 gifted memberships. Thank you so much, Gangrene 365. That is 10 raffle tickets, guys. Keep the memberships going. All memberships are boosted +2 in the weekly raffle right here on the show. So shout out to you, Gangrene 365, for getting us started right here on the show. You're the best. Hoboken Jet fan comes in, says, "Hi Connor, nice job today. What are your thoughts on wide receiver 2? Or does Breece step into that role with second most catches/targets?" First off, appreciate the kind words, my friend. Thank you so much for joining us right here on the Jake Asman Show. Says, "What are your thoughts on wide receiver 2? I think it goes to Josh Reynolds. He's worked with Tanner Engstrand before. He's been in the same building as Aaron Glenn. He's a veteran who can get you yak. He can create space. I think it goes to Josh Reynolds. And I think wide receiver 3 goes to Tyler Johnson. That was my hot take that I kind of made earlier in the show. And then I think it's a conglomeration of Alan Lazard, Arian Smith, Jamal Pritchett, Xavier Gibson, one of those guys for, the 4, 5, 6, 7 job if the Jets do decide to carry 7 wide receivers. When fans look at the wide receiver position right now, a lot of people forget about Irv Charles as a guy who might take up one of those spots, not as a pass catcher, but as a special teamer. I mean, this guy was the team's special teams ace last year. He's been hurt in training camp. So my thought overall on wide receiver 2 is I ultimately think it goes to Josh Reynolds. And then after that, like I said, it's a conglomeration of a bunch of guys. And I think those jobs are fought out for in training camp. Appreciate tuning in, Hoboken Jet fan. Appreciate the kind words right here on the program. Eli comes in and he drops 5 gifted memberships of his own. Let's go.
Now, give me money. Or I shoot him. And I shoot all you motherfuckers. And then we take it. Your choice, bitches.
Eli, thank you so much for the 5 gifted memberships. Thank you so much for all of your support right here on the show. Those are your 5 memberships. You got 10 raffle tickets now just from today's show into the weekly membership raffle. Appreciate all of your support right here on the program. Shout out to you, Eli. Then Rick Kent follows that up with a $10 super chat. Rick, thank you so much for all your support on the program. Says, if what's keeping Mason Taylor from signing his contract is guaranteed money, they may as well give it to him. It's not like he's going to be cut. Great job as always, Connor. Rick, thank you so much. Appreciate your kind words right here on the show. The thing with giving fully guaranteed deals, the concern that a lot of teams see is, if a guy goes in and struggles, 2 years in, we've seen second round picks get cut 2-3 years into their career, 2-3 years into their rookie contract. I mean, heck, Malachi Corley, I know he's an early 3rd round pick, is in jeopardy of that potentially happening this season. So that's the main reason behind what I think this whole holdup is and why the Jets haven't given, Mason Taylor a fully guaranteed contract. Heck, why a lot of teams haven't given their rookies a fully guaranteed contract. But love the thought, and I understand where you're coming from. I'm not opposed to giving Mason Taylor a fully guaranteed contract, just given the fact that you clearly have a lot of faith in him. You clearly think he's going to do great things. So I'm I'm all for giving, Mason Taylor a fully guaranteed contract if that's what's holding him back. Agree with what you're saying there 1,000%. Appreciate all of your support, Rick. As always, right here on the show, our guy PBM drops in with 5 more gifted memberships. PBM, you're the best. Let's go.
Here we come, baby. Here we come. Here come the Jets, baby.
And as you gifted those 5 memberships, I got an email myself that I received a gifted membership. Shout out to you, PBM. Thank you so much for gifting me a membership. And 4 other listeners right here on the show. That is 10 raffle entries for you. Shout out, PBM. You're the best. Appreciate all your kind words and support right here on the show. Again, everyone, keep your questions coming in the chat. Load up all of your calls on the Gusbuster hotline. Let's go back to the phone lines, and joining us next is the Beast.
You know what time it is? A beast breaker. 666. I'm gonna take my fist and shove it up your ass, and then he gotta go.
Hola, Connor. How are you, amigo?
I'm doing well, Beast. How was your Sunday afternoon treating you?
Slow. It's Sunday. Oh, did you watch that pay-per-view yesterday? The AEW All In from Texas?
I do not watch wrestling, Beast, unfortunately.
Oh, you're a newspaper guy that basically. Yeah,
You got any jet points, Beast?
What?
You got any jet points?
So far, what I do want to see next year is there's no way that Breece Hall's leaving us for no reason. There's no point for him going anywhere. I think he's going to pull out one good year, and I think they're going to sign him another extension. I think he'll pull through. After what last year was like, last year was his, we're not going to have that. We're going to have a whoop. You know what that meant, right? Whoop.
Oh, yeah, Beast. Thank you, Beast, for the call. Appreciate you joining us on the show. Appreciate you checking in with us. Appreciate all your support, as always. Shout out to Beast. Who can't love Beast? Beast is the GOAT. Thank you so much for joining us here on the show. Appreciate all your support. This guy just dropped 5 subs earlier right here on the channel, and he joins us now.
About Mike, he loves the Dark Knight. He's got a green pool and he jumps right in. Maybe someday he'll get a brown belt, but for now he's just that purple belt Mike. Purple belt Mike. It might be purple, but he can still kick your dirty ass.
Yo,
PBM, what's going on, man?
what's up?
Thank you for the gifted memberships. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man, you got it. I'm setting up my new setup here.
Oh,
how does it sound? Does everything sound good here?
Perfect. Hearing you loud and clear. Love it. You got a webcam? Is that what you're using?
Yeah.
Fire. Yeah. I got a new webcam because mine recently broke. It actually just came in yesterday.
Here's my computer.
Sick. That's the PC, right? There we go.
Yeah. So if you see the Garrett Wilson animated on the cooler,
you make that yourself?
Yeah, me and my friend, we did it together.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, anyway, my question was about Quinn Williams, and I saw a video of when we played Aaron Rodgers last, and he was so dominant, and then last year he really wasn't like that. So, do you think that's coaching, or he maybe had I don't know, not a good enough camp and he wasn't in shape or something, because he wasn't nearly as dominant as he was in 24.
Yeah, so what I think happened with Quinn Williams last year was a combination of factors. I don't think the scheme really favored him. And he did play 16 games last year, but a lot of people forget he was on the injury report pretty much every single week. So he dealt with a bunch of injuries last year that I think, hampered him throughout the year and kind of limited his ability to really go full throttle. I think a lot of it had to do with the scheme. And overall last year, you could look at every player on the roster. Every player who performed great in 2023 really, really struggled last year, which I think is something interesting. Even a guy like Quincy Williams, who I think had a very, very solid year, still had a better year in 2023. Same goes for Quinnen. Still goes, in my opinion, for Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, so on and so forth, multiple different phases of the game. So I think a lot of it had to do with just last year was a fluke year overall for the entire team, and given the fact that injuries did hamper him.
Is Quinnen coming back to the dominant guy that we always saw previously?
I think he is. I think a problem last year is I think we thought Javon Kinlaw was going to open up a lot of holes for him on the interior of the line. Kinlaw really, really struggled, had a bunch of penalties, wasn't that efficient as a run stuffer. I think Derek Nandi comes in this season as the true space eater, takes away the double teams from Quinn, and it really allows Quinn to get back, to giving you 6-7 sacks a year.
Are we top 5 this year in defense?
Top 5 is tough. I mean, there are just so many high caliber defenses in the league. Like the Ravens have a stout defense. You have the Bills and in your division. You have a ton of teams with great divisions, with great defense, excuse me. I think they're top 7 or top 8. The secondary concerns me from a slot perspective. I think you really need a guy like Azareye'h Thomas to step up. If Michael Carter continues to, deal with a bunch of these injuries. So the slot corner position concerns me if Michael Carter II isn't fully healthy, and the interior of the defensive line's still unproven. I need to see how Jermaine Johnson, bounces back from an Achilles tear, and if Will McDonald's able to replicate a pretty stout sophomore season. So I'd say top 8 to top 10. I think they're in the top 10.
If we have a top 10 defense and a top 10 rushing offense, we have to make the playoffs.
Oh, yeah.
Without a doubt. If we're top 10 in both, we have to. For sure. That's what I think anyway.
Yeah. The biggest thing that, Michael Nani, I think Jake had him on the show to actually break it down. Michael Nani, my colleague at Jets X Factor, wrote a great story about this. Only, I think, 4 teams over the past 10 years who have had a top 10 offensive line haven't made the playoffs. Everything stems from the offensive line, really. The games are won and lost in the NFL in the trenches. If the Jets are able to have a top 7, top 10 offensive line, they're already setting themselves up to be in a good position. The thing with the offensive line, I think it's going to open up a lot of opportunities for Justin Fields. I answered a question, I think, from Jay, it was earlier, talking about if his processing speed concerns me. A solid offensive line will take even more pressure off Fields to have to, sit and read a defense in a very, very quick amount of time. So I think the offensive line is really going to open everything up for this offensive game plan.
Sounds good, brother. Doing a good job.
Thank you, PBM. Appreciate the support.
Purple Belt Mike, he loves the Dark Knight. He's got a green pool and he jumps right in. Maybe someday he'll get a brown belt, but for now he's just that Purple Belt Mike. Purple Belt Mike, it might be purple, but he can still kick your dirty ass.
Shout out to the great PBM. Appreciate the kind words from PBM. Thank you so much for all your support right here on the show. Empty phone lines right now. No one backstage. So if you want to call in, you want to give your take, no wait. Just come up backstage and I'll bring you on right here on the show. So certainly call in if you want with the pinned comment at the top of the chat. Appreciate all of you guys. As always, let's go to some of the questions in the chat. Boomtown, shout out to Boom as Maniac Madness, representative, member of the committee. Says, Connor, your thoughts on being nominated for the Azzies Awards under Young Guns and your thoughts on your chances beating Decker, Christie, and Jack. I had no idea this was a thing. I knew the Azzies existed. I did not catch the last show, though, where I was then nominated, I guess. So I am in the Azzies. This is very, very, very interesting. Is the link in the? I'm obviously in the Discord with everyone. Is the link in the Discord? Where can I find this bracket, these power rankings where you have to vote for the Azzies? I had no idea I was actually nominated. So shout out to everyone. Thank you for nominating me for the great Azzies. I'm assuming this is the Jake Asman Awards that was being talked about in the great Jake Asman Show Discord. By the way, join the Patreon, $5 a month. If you haven't already, get into the Discord, get many exclusive perks. To be quite honest, I had no idea I was nominated for this, but I'm really, really honored to be nominated for this. Look, so, I have a tough pull. Obviously, Decker. Decker doesn't call into the show often, but when she does, she's very, very well liked among this audience. Obviously, she is the daughter of the great Gary, one of, if not the best caller on the show. Gary's the best. And then Christie and Jack, my 2 best friends and my 2 co-hosts. So this is gonna be very, very, very tough. I have confidence though in all you maniacs out there that you can get me out and I can win this award. I have confidence in you guys. I have confidence that I'm able to get out of this this bracket, this section of the awards and take home the trophy. So please vote for me in the Azzies. I had no idea about this, and I appreciate the nomination, Boom, and everyone who wrote. So let's go. Connor Long, 2025 Azzie Award winner. Let's go. Come on. Let's do it. Bring it home for me. Appreciate all you guys. Thank you so much for letting me know about the nomination as well. I had no idea that actually I was actually nominated. So I appreciate you for letting me know. Boom. David, so if Reynolds is wide receiver 3, if Reynolds is wide receiver 2 and Johnson is wide receiver 3, does Lazard make the 53? The odds are stacked against him. This is the funny part. The odds are stacked against him because he was also hurt during minicamp and OTAs. So he didn't have time. Unlike, a guy like Josh Reynolds or a newer receiver like Tyler Johnson to kind of adapt and learn this playbook. He was playing from the side, and Tanner Engstrand kind of made a comment like, when he's fully healthy, he needs to learn and he needs to learn quick. I don't think it's a guarantee he makes the 53. Does he? Yes. I think Aaron Glenn is kind of like Bill Parcells in the sense he really, really, really likes wide receivers who can block. So I think Lazard makes this roster. I think he's a wide receiver 4, though. I don't think he plays a significant role. I think we can see him inactive for a few games this year. I think the main guys you look for, Tyler Johnson, Josh Reynolds, and obviously Garrett Wilson leading the way in this receiver room. Those are the guys I'm keeping my eye on. But Lazard and Malachi Corley, no guarantee to make the roster. David Connor, what would have to happen for Taylor to make All-Pro in 2025? For Taylor to make All-Pro in 2025 this year, he'd probably need to be the number 2 option in this passing attack. He'd need to be a very efficient run blocker, Need to have to be a very, very efficient run blocker. And for receiving yards, I'd say he needs 650 receiving yards. 650 receiving yards, 4 or 5 touchdowns. That's what I think would need to happen. If he can make All-Pro as a rookie, I'm fully bought in. I didn't love the pick. I wanted Trey Harris or, another wide receiver with that pick instead of Mason Taylor, but they got a tight end. That's the bottom line. If they were rolling into the season with the tight end group, not counting Mason Taylor, there's no way that team could have won more than 7 games with Stone Smart, Zach Kuntz, Neil Johnson. So they needed a tight end 1. They addressed it in round 2. I think Mason Taylor can be a Pro Bowler and All-Pro, at some point over the next 5 years. I don't think it's going to happen in his rookie season, though. I just don't think he has the quarterback who can air the ball out downfield because all these, and I don't think that's really an issue. Like, I don't think it's an issue that Fields can't air the ball downfield all that often. But if you look at all these tight ends who make All-Pro appearances year in and year out, they all have top 5, top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL who are able to push the ball downfield and make big plays. I don't think Justin Fields is really, really that guy for Mason Taylor. So that's the one thing that I will say, which I think ultimately hinders him from, being an All-Pro, being a Pro Bowler, his first year into the NFL per se. But appreciate the question. Appreciate you all tuning in right here on the show. Smash the like button, hit subscribe. Connor Long in for Jake Asman on this Sunday afternoon edition of the Jake Asman Show. Appreciate all of your support as always right here on the program. And a programming note for tomorrow, Jake will be live for his morning show from Marty Lyons Celebrity Golf Classic Monday morning. Has huge big name guests coming on. Marty Lyons, Joe Klecko, Vinny Testaverde, all joining Jake tomorrow morning. So certainly stay tuned for that. Appreciate all of your support as always right here on the program. You guys are the best. Keep the questions coming. Again, like I said, no one backstage. So if you're a caller, first-time caller, if you're a caller in general, you want to get on, no wait, hop backstage. I'll bring you right up. So appreciate your support as always. Call in using the Gus Buster hotline link pinned at the top of the chat. Our buddy Gator comes in. Shout out to you, Gator. Appreciate you tuning in. He says, the way this team is constructed right now, which season-ending injury is the most devastating, Fields or Garrett? It's tough. I have to go Garrett Wilson by far, though. And I think I think with Fields, losing Fields would certainly be tough, but I think Tyrod Taylor has a similar skill set to Fields in the sense where they have similar play styles where it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if Tyrod Taylor had to step in. When you lose Garrett Wilson, your whole passing attack just goes up in flames. Like, you need Garrett Wilson to win. If Garrett Wilson suffers a season-ending injury, you're winning no more than 5 games this season. Like, you need Garrett to kind of facilitate that offense, to be the big play threat, to rip the top off a defense, to be your lead route runner. So losing Garrett, I think, would pretty much throw the season up all in flames. So I'd have to go Field. That's tough. You don't want to lose either one of them because I think they're both valuable pieces in the direction that this team's going in. But I think Garrett plays a more important role in the offensive success this year than Fields does. So I'll have to go with Garrett Wilson there, 100%. But certainly a very great question there from Gator. Again, load up all your questions. Call into the show with the pinned comment at the top of the chat. Whatever questions come in, we'll do a little Q&A regarding the Jets for the last half hour or so of this program. So load up all your Jets-related questions for us in the chat. Get all your gifted memberships in because today on the show it's a special deal. All gifted memberships are boosted +2 for the weekly raffle right here on the Jake Asman Show. Bill Parcells signed photo. Bill Parcells signed helmet, Aaron Glenn signed helmet. Rex Ryan signed photo. Herman Edwards signed helmet. Those are the prizes given away in the weekly membership raffle. All gifted memberships are doubled +2. Appreciate all of your support. As always, David says if wide receiver Wilson goes down for any length of time, the Jets could have the number 1 overall pick in 2026. I don't know if they'd be number 1 overall pick bad. I think the floor for this team is like 3-4 games, which I don't think is going to be number 1 overall pick bad. I think there's going to be some really, really bad teams in the NFL this year. Could the Jets be picking top 5? They could. I don't think they will, though. I think the Jets are going to be picking somewhere in the 12 to 15 range this year. I don't think they're going to be that bad of a team. I really don't think they're going to be that bad of a team this season. Contradictory to what people have been saying and what most of the fan base thinks. Garrett is just average though. See, this is a take that I made that I've clarified multiple times now. I said Garrett Wilson is an average to slightly above average wide receiver, therefore placing him in the 12 to 15 range for overall wide receivers. I'd put him in the 11 to 13 range right now. So yes, he's an average to above average starting wide receiver number 1 in the NFL level. That's what I said. And Garrett's a great receiver. He's a great receiver. He's not a top 10 wide receiver 1 in my opinion. I just don't see what he's showing. Can he be a top 10 wide receiver? Absolutely. Can he establish that this year going into his 4th year in the NFL? Undoubtedly so. I just don't think he's shown that level of play over the past few seasons. That's my thought process with Garrett. David D, it would be difficult to evaluate Justin Fields as a long-term solution if Garrett Wilson suffers a major injury. That's true. And I think this is Fields' last crack. This is the last opportunity to show I can be a starting guy in the right scheme. I think Fields needs to capitalize on this year because if he doesn't, he's cooked. This is his last opportunity to be a starter. This is his last opportunity to show that he can be a starting quarterback at the NFL level, and the upside isn't just potential, and it's actually fruition. That's what Justin Fields needs to show this year. Gangrene 365 says, if anyone thinks we're going to be that bad and if we have top 10 pick, really no one has hope for the season. I have hope. I want to get your thoughts. Throw all your win predictions in the chat. That's something that could be engaging for the last few. Yeah, as we wrap up the show here. Throw all your win-loss record predictions in the chat. We will evaluate those. And again, you can keep the questions flowing because we're going to do a Q&A here to kind of wrap up this show. I don't think they're going to have a top 5 pick. I will say that. If they're as bad as I think their floor can be, I think they might have a top 5 pick. But if we're giving our real expectation for the year, what we think they can be, they won't have a top 5 pick. John says, Connor, who do you think will get a job first before the NFL kickoff? Bobby, Beast, or Charles? Beast? Any thoughts here? Is Beast there? We don't have Beast. I was going to see if Beast could give us a breakdown of this comment here. I'm going to give my honest prediction. So Beast, from what we've heard, from what the inside sources are telling me, Beast has, I don't know if Beast has a job right now. And from what I've heard, I don't think Beast has intentions of trying to land the job. We do know Charles and Bobby have been trying for a long time to get a job. Charles, I'm confused. Can someone fill me in? So Charles does not have the job at Burger King anymore. To my understanding, he does not have the job at Burger King anymore. So Charles is still applying elsewhere. Bobby, from what I heard, is like a job recruiter that's helping him. It's very, very tough. I'm going to have to pick Charles, though, just because from what I've seen on the show, Charles has a resume that was printed out by the great Nick Shine. Shout out to Nick Shine. I have to go with Charles. He has a resume built. He's come close to at Burger King, from what I understand. I'll have to go Charles. And no disrespect to Bobby, because Bobby's the GOAT. Shout out, Bobby. I don't know if you're in the chat, Bobby, but I appreciate all of your support, as always. Rick Kent says Bobby has an interview Tuesday. So, allegedly. Keynote there, allegedly. So, hey, hopefully they both get jobs. They both want to get jobs. They can get jobs. That's the way you think about it. 1,000%. That's the beauty. You want to do something, put your mind to it, and you can get a job. That's the beauty of hard work and what it does to one person. So I think they could both definitely get jobs. Kyle Clifton comes in with a $10 super chat. Shout out to you, Kyle. Thank you so much. Ooh, we lost it there. Follow your support right here on the channel. Appreciate you, Kyle. Says 2 second rounders are going to require. It requires a compromise on guaranteed money. Thanks, Texans. Yeah, the 2 teams set the precedent. The 2 teams that had the first 2 picks in the second round set the precedent of giving these guys fully guaranteed deals. So, yeah, I don't think he gets a fully guaranteed. I don't think Taylor gets a fully guaranteed deal. I think they work something out where it's close to guaranteed, not fully guaranteed. I don't think he holds out. I think he plays this season. There's the precedent, though, being set around the league that these guys are going to start holding out. Shamar Stewart has now held out. Really since he was drafted. They're still not even close really in a contractual agreement. Now we're seeing second rounders, that being Trey Harris, the first one to now hold out. So yeah, there are a lot of holdouts we've seen recently from all these, first round picks, but now some second round picks we're seeing thrown in there, which It's a little crazy to think about. Jojo comes in with $10. Shout out to you, Jojo. Thank you so much for all your kind words and support. Says, Connor, you're doing a great job. Keep it up. You're doing a great job. Congrats on it. So keep it up on the other side. So shout out to whoever said that. I'll find that quickly. But Jojo, thank you. Appreciate the kind words. Appreciate the super chat. Appreciate all of your support right here on the program. Let's see all these win-loss predictions that I've been seeing. Papa Jet 11-6. That's 2-1-2-8 middle finger. 4-12. They can't. The 4-4 wins. Patriots 12 says 4-13. Jay says 17-0, baby. Matt West says 6 wins. Let's see who else. Chris B, shout out to you, Chris B. You're the best. I see you on the channel all the time. Appreciate your kind words. This is 9-8. Peter says 11-6. No doubt. Patriots 12 again has to emphasize he thinks they're going 4-13. I think 8 is the perfect split there. I think 8 is the perfect split for the Jets. Like, can they be 9-8? Yes. I think that would be a little bit of a stretch, in my opinion, to make that take today. I think 8 is perfect. I think you have a coaching staff who's way better than last year. Even if this coaching staff is below average, they can't be as bad as last season's. You have an innovative quarterback who's young, who has upside, who can run a modern-day NFL offense with. You have a bunch of new defensive pieces. I think this team is really, really going to perform well this season. So I'm expecting the Jets to win 8 games. I think their ceiling is 10 wins. I expect them to win 8, and I think their floor is 5. Definitely, if I had to, again, the house always wins when it comes to the over-unders. I wouldn't recommend gambling on anything, but over 5.5 wins, I think, is a very, very peculiar line for the Jets. Definitely. If someone was looking to put money on that, you'd definitely take the over. I don't think you bank on the Jets getting under 5 wins this season. So I do think the Jets are going to have an okay season. I really, really do. Those who are saying 6-7 wins, I don't see that happening. I think if you can get an 8-win season and you could perform, well, you see maybe Fields comes back for another year. You don't have to use a high pick on a quarterback. If Fields can perform well, your defense plays well, your young pieces are performing, your rookies stand out, that's a promising sign moving forward for this organization. I think going 8-9 would really, really lay the foundation for what this team is going to look like 2-3 years from now. So I think starting off, having a winning season or being close to, you should win more, because winning 8 games this year would mark the Jets winning more than 7 games for the first time in over a decade. It's crazy. The Jets haven't won 7 games in over a decade. What an absolute embarrassment. People are saying about not making the playoffs in 14 years. What's more puzzling to me is the fact that the Jets haven't won more than 7 games in a decade. You heard it there. 7 games in a decade. Absolutely insane. But joining us next right here on the show, we got our guy Dre joining us right here on the Gusbuster Hotline. 28 Touchdown Island resident and owner.
Listen, Connor, there's room for you on this island with me. I need you to take a boat, come all the way over to 28 Touchdown Island, and it'll change your life. You'll stop saying crazy things like Garrett Wilson is mid. Now, real talk, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
And you're right. He hasn't had the quarterback. If you put Garrett Wilson on the Chiefs, I'd argue the Chiefs might not lose a game.
I don't know about not lose a game, but he'd be a top 10 receiver. Top 7.
He definitely would be up there. There would be no question. But nobody would be questioning, Garrett Wilson this, Garrett Wilson that. If they developed some kind of chemistry, the way Patrick Mahomes could just escape a pocket, the way that Garrett Wilson could just cut off a route and just be where he needs to be. I'm kind of hoping that this is what the relationship he's going to be able to have with his college quarterback. But I'm iffy on it. And I'm I was we had the greatest quarterback in history, Aaron Rodgers. There was no way that this could happen. And so, yeah, I said something crazy because I really genuinely believed it. I think Garrett Wilson has that talent. But at the end of the day, you have to produce. And he hasn't. And I think that where I thought that him competing against Sauce every day was going to mean that, there wasn't going to be a cornerback who could stop him. And then, he started getting some top tier, cornerbacks covering him. And, he would go away. Then once we had Devontae, I think at one point
all the reps went away.
Stop looking for him at all. So I'm still out here alone on this island. It's not lonely, but there's room for you. I'm gonna keep some beachfront property, aside for you. So when you come and visit and see, like, oh wow, life is better here on 28 Touchdown Island. You know what I'm saying? But no, real talk, I'm really proud of you. Seeing you do the thing, it warms my heart. It's like, okay,
I appreciate that.
Even though Jets fans don't have much to look forward to, at least we have you, because the Jets, they haven't won more than 7 games in a year. Now, I remember when they won 12, they went 12-4, and I was alive when they went to the AFC Championship in 98, and then again in 2009, and then again in 2010, and I still haven't gotten over that Pittsburgh loss, and that was 15 years ago. So my hope is that they'll turn the corner now, and we'll have something to root for, and then at least you'll have that moment, you can carry that forward for the next generation, because if they do great, I'll just take a great season. I'll take a winning season. If we make the playoffs, hey, that's I could live my best life, and I'd be fine.
The build off of.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm not even like, hey, how are they gonna do? I'm like, I don't even know. I gotta wait and see what they do, and I don't even care about the preseason. Now I'll go to the game. I'll cheer for my team, and I'm gonna root for them all no matter what. But I need to see how they come out, because last year broke me to the point where I was coming and I was talking mad smack to everybody, and I would go to the game and I'm like, yeah, we got this. And I'm going in, I'm like, how am I showing more heart than the team?
Yeah. I mean, we were lucky enough. We were sitting in the same section to witness the greatest game of the Aaron Rodgers era, that being Week 3 against the New England Patriots at home.
Exactly.
So that was the beginning of the end, which was super.
Yeah, I know. And
that was like, okay, this is like, I was like, there's more to the story than just this. Like, Aaron Rodgers is gonna perform like this and better every single outing. Like, I thought that was here to stay for 2-3 years, including a Super Bowl victory. So, like, Jeff got us again. Yeah,
but hey, we're still here because we as Jet fans, you know what? We are resilient, and if we have lived this long and suffered this much, I refuse to see Joe go out and not have his, not be able to go down Broadway, the Canyon of Heroes with the ticker tape, green and white coming down, raining on Broadway, like all of these things. We need to manifest this. But we goes week in, week out, every game, we got to go in there and just visualize the win. Hopefully the team can pull it together. I'm just praying, like, listen, I'm praying that Breece returns to rookie year Breece, where it's like, oh, now our line should be able to make a hole, and he hits the hole and he's gone. That Breece hasn't been back since his injury. I know it took a while, things like that. I still believe in him. I still think he can do something. I think you have a point about his vision, though. But he does have that home run power once he gets through, and then he could have that burst. We just haven't seen that burst since. But
we saw it in 2023, not last year.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So we got to be honest with that. But at the same token, I don't think that it's a limitation on him. I think that there was a shift to the different scheme, that they went to a different blocking scheme last year. And I don't know what the Lions running schemes are, like getting into the technicality, the details of it. But I'm just hoping for a resurgence. Plus, we're not as reliant on Breece. So if he hits a home run, great. But it's kind of like, with the Mets, they have Soto, they have Alonso, they have Lindor. One of these three got to punch in. So, like, I'm thinking Allen, he comes in, Braylon going to do something like more along the lines of like, Derrick Henry and things like that. Like, we'll see that. Like, he'll just take on Bucks and just keep going. Then we'll see some shiftiness. But we're obviously going to be doing a lot of running game. And then my hope is that then Garrett Wilson breaks a long one, and Justin Fields ends up looking like a great quarterback, because he has a good receiver to go to. This tight end that you say, I'm like, okay, I know that the quarterback likes his tight ends. We'll see. We'll see what.
Definitely. Dre, are you a Mets fan, by the way? All right, perfect. LGM, baby. I need your help on this. Gator throws this in the chat. Connor, choose one. Jets lose this year in the Super Bowl, or Mets beat the Yankees in the World Series. Mets are my number 2 team. Jets obviously number 1 by a landslide. This is super tough. Gator's great at throwing these hard questions at me. I'd have to pick the Jets losing this year in the Super Bowl. Like, beating the Yankees in the World Series would mean the world.
We just swept them. Like,
yeah. You just swept them. Like, if you can, here's the thing. I just hate the Yankees because Yankees fans hate Mets fans. Like, what, with all these Yankee fans coming up, so many Yankees fans have come up to me and like started complaining about Soto. I'm like, bro, I didn't even say anything to you. Like, I think you're sad you lost Soto. I don't really care. I didn't even say anything to you. The Jets mean so much to me. The Jets are like my baby. So I have to go making it to the Super Bowl. Like, imagine the Jets making it to the Super Bowl. That whole week leading up to the Super Bowl would be the greatest week of my life. I don't care if they lost. It would be a heartbreaking moment, obviously, but just being able to get the Super Bowl. Think about those playoff wins being strung together. Think about how exciting that regular season would be. Being able to just cover a team that's made it to the Super Bowl would mean so much, too, from like an analyst perspective as well. Again, I love the Mets. They're the second team. They care about the Mets the second most, obviously, behind the Jets, but I'd have to go with the Mets, making the Jets, excuse me, making the Super Bowl.
Now, I understand that thinking, and I'm kind of with you on this, but if the Mets beating the Yankees, I don't care. If the Yankees are in the World Series, fantastic, but if the Mets win the World Series versus the Jets losing the Super Bowl, then that means that we're going to get the parade. I don't know if we get a parade if the Jets lose, and I don't think – see, so it's been 15 years, and I'm still heartbroken over the Pittsburgh Steelers loss. Mind you, they lost to the Colts the year before, where they could have gotten into the Super Bowl. And in either year, if we would have gone to the Super Bowl, we would have won. There's no doubt in my mind. Rex Ryan would have coached us to a Super Bowl victory, maybe being back to back. I'll even go that far and that crazy. But I will say, I just feel like if we would have went to the Super Bowl that year, we would have won. I can't picture having my team go to the Super Bowl and me getting excited, enjoying the moment, like being able to get to even go, but they lose.
I know, but like think about all those playoff wins. Like you'd win probably 2, maybe even 3 playoff games to spend depending on where like that.
We're guaranteed we'd be on the road all 3 games, and we'd have to win 3 road games in order to get to the Super Bowl. I promise you. The Jets will find the hardest way possible to do it, and they're going to do it. They're going to exhaust us, and we're going to feel like the Knicks fans that by the time, all we got to do is beat one more team, and then all of a sudden, the Mets in the World Series is a much more realistic scenario, correct?
Yeah. Way more.
Yeah.
This is
the Mets World Series, and then they have a championship, and then we're celebrating a year long. And then have the Jets, surprise people, scare a few people, come into the playoffs, and then next year, it's like, okay, wait a minute, we're getting the pieces together. We got the right coach. Because when we make our run, I want championship at this point.
Absolutely.
We've been close. We've been, we just need this. We just need this. I want us to actually get there.
Exactly. And I always say, so I'm a Mets, Jets, Nets, and Rangers fan, but I'm not really a hockey fan, so I wouldn't count them. So just Mets, Jets, and Nets. I think I see 4 championships across my lifetime. I think I get 2 World Series from the Mets. I think one of which is in the next 5 years. Absolutely. I think the Jets win 1 Super Bowl. I think the Jets are able to win 1 Super because, I think the Jets win 1 Super Bowl at some point over the next 60 some odd years, 60, 70 some odd years. I think the Jets are able to get 1 Super Bowl. And I think the Nets get 1 NBA championship in 10 years. So if I can get 4, including a Super Bowl, I'm perfectly fine. It was just a tough start to my life.
I'm with you on that. We're just going to have to – the Super Bowl is going to have to come much sooner.
Oh, there we go.
I can guarantee another 20 years, and that's with the heart attacks and calling in from the hospital beds. I can give you another 20 years. So, Jets.
Make it happen, Jets.
You got 20 years from now, okay? And Joe was going to give you less, so you better do it for my boy Beningo. Let's go 10 years. Please, something.
Dre, you're the best. Have a great day.
Brother, take care.
Ladies and gentlemen, the great Jay joining us right here on the show. Great call, Jay. Hope you've had a great weekend. Appreciate all of your kind words and support right here on the show. I see all you guys backstage, so we'll rapid fire through a few calls to wrap us up. Adam is too cool. Joins us next right here on the program.
Hey,
Adam,
Connor, you're crushing it, man. Your poise is just well beyond your years, dude.
Thank you.
You've got it, man. I'm very, very impressed.
Thank you.
Yeah, and you and I are in the 8 and 9 category. I'm in the same boat with you on that. We actually like every point you made. It's like totally aligned with mine. So I don't know what that means, but I'm pretty happy that we have something in common.
There we go.
So pick a game on the roster that we're an obvious underdog. I'm not talking about some of the other ticky tack, Jets +1 stuff. Like talk about a real underdog game out of the whole season. Which game would you like the Jets to overperform and surprise us on a given week?
Against the Ravens on the road.
I like that. I'd be at that game, so that'd be good.
Yeah, definitely. The way I think of, first, one of my really, really good friends is a big Ravens fan. There's a whole podcast about the Ravens, so that would be exciting for me to say the Jets beat the Ravens. But in all seriousness, I think if Justin Fields is able to outperform and beat a defense of the Ravens caliber, where I think Justin Fields is going to throw a lot of passes across the middle of the field, a lot of quick passes, and the Ravens have such great linebackers. I mean, obviously you have Roquan Smith; he's the first name that comes to mind. Being that middle linebacker, the guy patrolling the middle of the field. You even have Kyle Van Noy as an outside linebacker coming off the edge. I think their linebackers are really stout. They have a great pass rush unit. And most importantly, great safeties and a great secondary unit with Kyle Hamilton and Malachi Starks as your two safeties. So if Justin Fields is able to take the top off the defense with getting past Malachi Starks and Kyle Hamilton, beating overall a top defense, and it would probably also mean the Jets defense had to hold up against the best dual threat option in the league, that being Lamar Jackson, and stop a very lethal Ravens rushing attack. So I think beating the Ravens on the road would be showing they can go into a hostile environment and beat, in my opinion, the best overall team in the NFL. Nice.
Well, I think the operating in silence is still in effect because there's a lot of stuff that we don't know in terms of the schemes. Like if Wilkes and Glenn were defensive-minded people, if they really thought interior line was a problem, wouldn't they have done something by now?
Yeah,
so there's something they know
in their guys that they're trotting out on the field. I think Quentin Williams is going to have a great year. I think Will McDonald, if he's able to improve his run defense, can easily be a top 5, top 10 pass rusher this season. I think the biggest wild card right now is Derek Nandi. Is he able to play like he was in 2018, where he's one of the best run stuffers in the league, or is he one of the most inefficient? That's the biggest question. I think even if he's not the most efficient guy when it comes to run stuffing, he still has a huge body. He's still 6'1", 317 pounds. He's still going to take up space. He's still going to move bodies for you. And I think the bottom line is he's going to take away double teams from Quentin Williams. That's why I want him to be starting on the interior.
Yeah, well, I think it's more about the scheme than the individuals at this point. And I think that we get lost in the shuffle because we feel like, oh, well, we got to be like stacked in every position. Well, if you have good coaching, you can overcome that. And we, according to PFF last year, we're the second best roster in the NFL, but look what the coaching did for us. So, grain of salt. And then the other part about the offensive side of things is we keep talking about, we're a run-first offense. But what's going to really make or break our win-loss record is going to be whether or not Justin Fields can be unleashed when the defense is looking at run blocking, and he could throw it over the top to some weapons and do the kind of game-changing, playmaking things that he was famous for coming out of college. That's what's going to get us into a playoff situation. That's what can create a playoff run. If you can't get into the playoffs with that QB that can't make plays, the game manager QB is something that was around before you were born. And it's not.
I mean, we still see some of the game managers nowadays. Like, I think to win I give this example all the time. It's the 4 teams in the conference championships last year. The Commanders, obviously the Eagles, the Bills, and the Chiefs. All 4 have franchise quarterbacks. I think it might be a little early to say Jaden Daniels, but Jaden Daniels had, in my opinion, the greatest season for a rookie in NFL history. Jalen Hurts is undoubtedly a franchise guy. Same goes for Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. You see the guys who maybe aren't as much of a franchise guy, and Jared Goff, Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield get phased out early. You need a quarterback to win nowadays. You're not going to see any teams like the 2003 Ravens anymore.
Right.
You need an elite quarterback to take home a Super Bowl championship.
You have to throw bombs, and he can throw bombs. So the hope is that they say, oh, yeah, it's going to be run first, but that's sort of act 1. Act 2 is, okay, now that they have to respect the run, that's when Justin can really start flinging it deep. And once that happens, then you actually have an offense. So I feel that in the end, like the optimism in me is feeling very promising that Tanner Engstrand is not just going to create a playbook and a style that's going to complement Justin, but give him a chance to actually throw it deep. And if that's the case, and he can connect on those deep balls because he's practicing it and he's got rapport with quite a few receivers from the past, I think that is definitely the upside that can get us to 8+ wins on the season. So I'm hoping that's what happens, and I'm glad they're operating in silence, and we'll have to see, what the playbook is, because the creativity is going to make all the difference.
Absolutely. Adam, appreciate the call, my friend. Have a great day.
Good one.
Adam is too cool joining us on the show. Adam, thank you so much for your support. Thank you so much for all your kind words here on the show. Shout out to Adam. Great call. As always, appreciate his support. Jake drops in with $5. Jake, shout out to you. The GOATs is the super chats for Connor because he's crushing it. All memberships are +2 as well. I'll say as well. So it doesn't sound like a alliteration there. Thank you so much, Jake. Appreciate your support. Again, everyone, yes, memberships are +2. I know I've referenced it multiple times now here on the show, but get all your gifted memberships in. They're doubled for today's show. Jake, you're the best. Appreciate your kind words and support. DNY for life drops in. He's been a member for 19 months. Says, Connor, what's good, bro? Miss you. Glad to see you back. Just got on and saw you. Hope summer's going well. You making contact this week. Great to see you as well. Appreciate you tuning in. DNY for life. Summer's going great. I hope it's going well for you as well. So I told this story earlier in the show. I haven't done a show in 2 weeks. We're back next Monday. I give Jake so much credit. He does 2 shows a day year round. Shout out to Jake. Jake's the GOAT. I did daily content on my channel for 6 months this year, from January through June. And the daily content's coming back next week, but it's the dead period. There's not much to talk about. I was like, I just want to recharge, give myself some time off, the calm before the storm, and then the storm, obviously, being training camp, rookies reporting next week. So starting next Monday or Sunday, we'll see, probably Sunday, starting next Sunday, DNY for life, daily content back. And for those who aren't subscribed to me, haven't seen me before, and like the way the show's going, make sure you shoot me a sub on YouTube at NY Flight Jets Talk, and Twitter at Connor_Long15. You're a Brooklyn Nets fan. I also have a Brooklyn Nets channel called The Brooklyn Boys Show as well. So NY Flight Jets Talk first. Go over there and subscribe. Appreciate all of your support. As always, thank you so much. And I see Rick Kent in the chat says people who are super impressed with Connor, which means you don't watch him regularly, you should sub to his channel and watch him. Thank you so much, Rick. Appreciate you throwing that in there. You obviously support me a ton, so that really means a lot, and I appreciate you and all your kind words as always. We'll wrap up after this call. Let's go down to South Carolina, where Charleston Jets Rube joins us next year on the show.
Well, there's a feller they call Charleston Jets Rube, 'cause he calls the show nude, never wears a shirt. And some folks, they don't think he's got pants on either. It's a gosh darn nudist camp. Let's hear it for that Charleston Jets Rube and see if he has any Jets points today.
Charleston, what's going on, man?
Hey, what's going on, Connor? Hey, I appreciate you coming on today. Wasn't expecting it. And as always, you do a great job, man.
Thank
So we
you, man.
appreciate you.
Words.
I do have to push back on you a little bit. Jaden Daniels is probably in your lifetime the best first-year quarterback ever, but you cannot forget about Dan Marino going to the Super Bowl his rookie year. So to say he's the best rookie quarterback ever, as much as I hate the Dolphins and Dan Marino, you got to go Dan Marino.
Dan Marino didn't have the same rushing ability, I think, that Jaden Daniels did. I think what made Jaden Daniels so hard to defend last year is obviously he was such a great passer, had one of the highest completion rates, threw for one of the most yards in the league last year, and he was also able to take the top off the defense with his legs. I mean, we saw his rushing ability. Let me see how many. He had a ton of rushing yards last year. He had almost 1,000 rushing yards. He had 891 rushing yards last year, and was almost 4,000 passing yards on 70% passing. He was, in my opinion, a more efficient passer than Dan Marino was during his rookie campaign. And Dan Marino didn't have that same rushing ability that Daniels did.
Yeah, but you also got to look at how far the team went. He went to the Super Bowl.
He went to the Super Bowl, and I completely understand. I'm the first to tell you,
like, Super Bowl.
To be a really, really good quarterback, you need to make a Super Bowl or win a Super Bowl. You have to do one of those two things. Obviously, Marino's a Hall of Famer, had never won a Super Bowl, and obviously made that Super Bowl his rookie year. The way I look at it, though, I think that Dolphins team was just overall a way better team than the Commanders was. That Dolphins team was expected to be a very, very good team with a first-year quarterback in Marino. The Commanders were supposed to be 7-8 win team with not a lot of talent around Jaden Daniels, and he optimized the whole offense and raised the whole ceiling of the team. So you can go either way. I'd say since 2000, it was the greatest rookie season, and I think you can put him neck and neck with Marino, in my opinion.
No, yeah. I mean, it's not a huge misstep as far as I'm concerned, but when you're talking about a Hall of Famer, and you know what, one thing, I hate the Dolphins. I mean, I know a lot of people Patriots, but I still go back to the Spike game, and there's so much history with the Dolphins. Yes, the Patriots had that run, but I still think the Dolphins are 1A as far as a hated team. But you know, I have a couple questions for you, just as far as this year coming up. You know, everything that I'm hearing people say is, you know, if something were to happen to Breece, then, you know, Braylon would step in as the main, and Davis would be the backup. But I tend to think not. I tend to think that Isaiah Davis is more of a Breece Hall light. And, you know, you look at the drop percentage for Braylon Allen last year, it was 15.4%. Isaiah Davis had zero. Literally, any catch that he was expected to catch, he caught. So for me, I feel like, granted, you know, whatever you talk, you know, 60% Breece, 25-15, 65-20, you know, however you want to break it down if they're all three healthy. I do believe it would be closer that if Breece got hurt to a 50-50 split, but I do feel like Isaiah Davis would take more of those standard Breece Hall snaps.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
So I love Isaiah Davis, and I spoke about him at the top of the show as kind of being the underrated weapon. I think is going to play a huge role with the Jets. He's a little smaller than Allen, but he's still 220 pounds. He's a big frame. Yeah. His short area quickness is what really, really impressed me last year. Yeah. Very, very quick that he used to like get to the hole and, you know, weave through traffic. The thing I liked about Isaiah Davis compared to Breece Hall is very quick once he gets the ball in his hands. He wants to find the hole and force something right away, hence why his vision has been so poor over the past few years. Isaiah Davis is a very, very patient runner who kind of waits for the play to evolve. He finds the hole and then he hits the hole. He doesn't force anything, and that's really what I like about Isaiah Davis. I think he's a better receiver than Braylon Allen is. I think Isaiah Davis is the guy who can, you know, push the ball east-south to you. For you, he can get to the outside. He's quick. Like I said, the short area quickness. He could be your east-south guy, and then Braylon Allen can be your east-west guy, and then Braylon Allen could be your north-south guy. Yeah.
Yeah, the two players that I think are really getting kind of slept on this offseason is Isaiah Davis, because I don't know, since I think it was like week 12 of last year, he just looked so good when they gave him a shot. But I also think Arian Smith is going to be a lot better than what people think. And here's I made this point to Jake, and I think he kind of thought I was crazy. I don't think he's going to get the fourth most amount of targets, but I think there's a world where he can have the fourth most amount of yards. And if you follow me, okay, 35 catches, right? Doesn't sound like a lot. It's only a little over 2 a game, 1 with 3. You know, and I don't think it's going to start out that way, but I think by the end of the year, I don't think 35 catches is too much to ask for. No. Now, I know we might do a lot of short screens and stuff like that, but if we take advantage of even just a couple of long passes for that guy, I think somewhere between, on such a small catch size, somewhere between 16 and 18 yards per catch, I don't think it's too crazy. I know that's high, but I don't think it's too crazy. So, like I said, I don't think he'll be anywhere near fourth in targets, but if you take a 17-yard average over 35 catches, that's 595 yards. To me, I feel like that would be very realistic to be fourth in yards. What are your thoughts on my thoughts there?
He could easily be fourth in yards on this team because he's the only deep threat. I think a lot of Garrett Wilson's yards are going to be – and I think Garrett still eclipses 1,000 yards, and he keeps that streak going, which is highly impressive. I just think he's going to be used a lot more. He's going to have a higher volume of targets and catches, but they're going to be more in the short game, I think.
11 to 12 yards a catch, yeah.
Perfect. I think Arian Smith can get you 20, 25 yards a play. I think that's the biggest thing. The Jets don't really have a deep threat on this team right now. The guys I'd put ahead of him, if you have him at 4, I'd put Garrett Wilson ahead of him. I'd put Mason Taylor ahead of him.
Breece.
I'd put Breece was going to be the third one I put there. You have the fourth being Arian Smith. I don't think it's a crazy take at all. It just depends. He could be Malachi Corley 2.0. He could, for all we know. But I understand the thought process with him being able to take the top off the defense, why you have him at 4. I'd probably put him at 4 or 5. Maybe Reynolds, beats him out there because Reynolds is still a bigger body who's able to get downfield and create separation. But I'd put Smith at either 4 or 5 on that list.
Yeah, I was thinking Reynolds 4th in targets, but Arian Smith 4th in yards.
Fair enough.
Is kind of, and again, things would have to go right. But, I mean, I don't think 35 catches is a whole lot to ask for, and if he ends up being even a little bit better, 50 catches is only 3 a game, right? And I don't think he's going to do that. I don't. Yeah. But, I mean, did people think that Puka Nacua was going to do what he did his rookie year? Hell no, so you just never And, he got what was it, like 900 yards last year in a very tough SEC going against the best defenses week in and week out. And, with his 16% drop rate, if you cut that in half, he would have been over 1,000 yards. So,
Definitely. The thing is, the one thing I will add is he's the number one option on that team, but still, the biggest thing for Arian Smith is he needs to be able to hold on to the football. Like if he's not holding on to the football, there's not a spot for him on this team. Like you need to be able to
you're right. You're right. The thing that I like about him too is he's 6 foot tall, and most of these speedster guys that have his kind of speed are 5'8", 5'9", 5'10" at the most. So the fact that he's 6 foot, I think he might be a little more what's the word I'm looking for? I just think that he might be a little more flexible within our offense than what people are thinking, And I'm super excited because we've had just the most generic vanilla offenses the last couple of years. One time I made this comment and a lot of people were saying, well, I don't want a lot of trick plays. And I wasn't saying trick plays, but I just think we're going to use a lot of motion, a lot of, I think Stone Smart is going to line up as a wide receiver a decent amount. I think we're going to use the fullback quite a bit and maybe even with 2 running backs and a fullback. I just think there's going to be a lot that defenses are going to have to think about.
Innovative. Yeah, absolutely. Charleston, appreciate the call, my friend.
Thanks, my man.
Well, there's a feller they call Charleston Jets rude, 'cause he calls the show nude, never wears a shirt. And some folks, they don't think he's got pants on either. It's a gosh darn nudist camp. Let's hear it for that Charleston Jets Rube and see if he has any Jets points today.
Shout out to Charleston Jet Rube. Great call as always. Thank you, Charleston. Appreciate your kind words. Appreciate you joining us right here on the show. DNY for Life drops in with a membership. That's 2 raffle entries because gifted memberships are boosted right here on the show. Shout out to you, Devin. Thank you so much for all your support right here on the show.
Money, 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 money.
Appreciate you, Devin. We got a bunch of super chats to get to. Jay, $2. Thank you so much, Jay. Appreciate the support. Says, are you playing football this season, Connor? Absolutely not. I do not play football. I've never played football. Baseball is my main sport. I play basketball and golf, baby. So baseball, basketball, golf, those are my sports. Not a football player. And have no intention of playing football. Appreciate the comment, though, Jay. Jacob B., appreciate you popping in. Says, what do you think about Fields with the Jets this year? I think Fields has a lot of upside, and I think he can ultimately be a top 15 quarterback in the NFL this year. I think the Jets are going to tailor a scheme around Fields' strength. And I think he has a productive season for New York. And then, let's see, you have 2 of the same super chats. Jacob saying the Jets were last in the playoffs 2011. Thank you for the super chat, Jacob. And thank you for reminding me of that pain and that misery that came with the Jets last making the playoffs in 2011. Haven't been alive to see a Jet playoff game. Hopefully that breaks through this year. Rick says golf a sport. This is an interesting debate that I've had. See, a lot of people, I love golf. So a lot of people who love golf would be like, it has to be a sport and get so defensive. It's interesting. It's an interesting conversation. I always say for something to be a professional sport, there needs to be direct competition against 2 opponents, and there needs to be a professional league. There is direct competition against who you're playing. You're stacking up against other golfers, and there's a professional league. I would say it's a sport. I think that's fair enough. For there to be direct competition and there be a professional league, I think those are the 2 boxes something needs to check for it to be a sport. That's my thought on golf. One more call, and we'll say so long right here on this Sunday afternoon. Coach Olglick joins us here on the show. Coach, what's going on? Appreciate you joining us, my friend.
What's up, Connor? You're doing a fantastic job. I've been saying it, and let me pile the praise on a little heavier.
I appreciate that, man. Thank you for the words.
Good to see you. Happy Sunday.
Likewise.
Only like 7 more Sundays until we get to see some football. It's exciting. A quick update. I'm this past Wednesday. I'm at the San Francisco Giants baseball game with my son. I'm wearing all Jets gear as normal, right? That's because I'm crazy, or maybe everything is Jets gear. And this dude's checking my ticket, and he's like, "Hey," I'm like, "What?" He's like, "I'm a Jets fan." And I was like, "What?" He's like, "Jets, Jets, Jets, Jets." And I was like, "Hey, all right, I like this." That like the ticket guy at Oracle Park or whatever it's called is a Jets fan, and gave him a fist bump, made me happy. So the woodwork, we're coming out.
Nationwide, baby.
Heck yeah. All right, that's all I got. I got to run.
I appreciate you, Coach. Have a great day.
Bye, everybody.
Ladies and gentlemen, short and sweet from our good friend Brian Oglick. Shout out to Brian. Appreciate him joining us right here on the show. Coach Oglick, baby. He's the best. Thank you, Brian, for the call. Appreciate your kind words and support as always. And we appreciate you all joining us right here on the show. It is the Jake Asman Show on this Sunday afternoon, July 13th, 2025. Connor Long in for Jake Asman. Again, I'll repeat it again. Great programming tomorrow morning. Jake will be back, and he's broadcasting from the Marty Lyons Celebrity Golf Classic Monday morning. His big name guests already confirmed. Marty Lyons, Joe Klecko, Vinny Testaverde, all set to join the show. So certainly stay tuned for that tomorrow morning. So again, stay tuned for Jake. He does incredible work. Smash the like button. Hit subscribe for Jake. He's the best. You want to find my work, you can find me NY Flight Jets Talk on YouTube for all my Jets coverage. Again, back next Monday on that channel with daily content and really, really new, interesting style of content. So certainly stay tuned for that. Appreciate you all. Shout out to all you Jet fans out there. Thank you again, Jake, for this opportunity to fill in for you on the show. Appreciate your kind words. Appreciate you dropping in with all those super chats. Shout out to all the Asmaniacs out there. You guys are the best. Have a great rest of your day, everyone. And as always, JETS, 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 baby.
Hey, here's the deal. Just got no chance unless you click on that like button. And you got to make sure you subscribe to the Jake Asman Show. You don't, you can get the f*** out. Now let's go, Asmaniacs. We're built for this shit.